In this video, I'm going to show you some common wrist adjustments that I actually do. Some of these you can almost mobilize yourself. I've been a doctor of chiropractic for over 26 years and I have done a lot of extremity adjustments. A lot of chiropractors just kind of pull the wrist or generally mobilize it, but I'm going to show you exactly how I adjust every single carpal bone. Now, I can't show you all of them because some of them require two hands to show you, but this will get you a good idea of how we're doing it. So now I made some marks on my wrist to show you where the bones are. Right here is the radius, right here is the ulna, and then we have the trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and the hamate. And then here we have the scaphoid, we have the lunate, we have the triquetrum, and the pisiform is on the other side. We're not going to worry about that in this video. Now, as some general guidelines, if the pain, and this is how I examine a patient, if the pain occurs on flexion, then the problem likely is between the radius and the scaphoid and lunate, because that's what allows flexion to occur. So if I take a patient's wrist and I say, does that hurt? And I just apply some overpressure and they say, gee, that's where my stiffness is, then I'm going to be focused, my adjustments will be focused on the radius, the capitate, and the lunate. Now likewise, if the patient takes their wrist, and usually I'll push backwards in extension like this, and they say, oh man, that's really stiff, like a patient can't do a push-up or can't push on something, or they're having trouble lifting weights or doing gymnastics, then very likely the areas where the joint adjustments will be are going to be between the trapezoid and the scaphoid, or the capitate and the lunate. That's how I generally think. That's my first initial exam. Now we can do ulnar deviation and see these bones here, but we're not going to do that here because I'm going to say that 9 out of 10 times it's this. So my exam is very simple, other than examining the soft tissues, its flexion, its extension, and that kind of pinpoints it. Oh, you know what? Let me show you something else. This is a big secret that I learned. I don't remember where I learned it. Actually, you know where I learned it? A Motion Palpation Institute seminar. So if you take the person in extension and you press on the first joint right here, up high, so you're using the metacarpal here and pressing on it, and if that causes pain, then you're more likely dealing with the trapezoid. If you press, and it's hard to see here, but you'll press on the second or the third metacarpal here, and you put it in extension and you press here, and if it causes more pain there, then that's very likely you're going to be adjusting the capitate. So here's how it's done. You're going to take your thumb, you're going to press into this joint right here underneath the radius. You're going to press out with your finger. You will have it on the radius here to give support. So you can see right there, I've got my finger on the support, and you will motion palpate it like this. And what happens is when you feel the resistance, you will traction the scaphoid that way, distally, as well as using your finger to push proximal. So it looks like this. There we go. And it moves. It's very simple. The lunate, what you have to do is you have to be on the proximal part of the lunate where it's right under the radius. And if you don't do it that way, if you just press downward, then it's not going to work. You have to traction it. Usually I'll grab the skin above the radius. Watch this now. You're going to traction the skin. You see how my skin is moving? So I got my thumb right on the proximal part of the lunate. Underneath, this finger will be on the lunate right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a scissors move like this as I traction the lunate distally. So again, it's not going to go into full extension, but you're going to start in flexion and you're going to traction it out just like this. Okay? So those are the two most common adjustments that I do. Now let's discuss the capitate. This is a big one. because this is one where a lot of people get pain when they're doing push-ups, they're trying to do exercises, they're trying to get their wrist in extension like this. Now the key to doing this is to take your thumb and get on the distal part of the capitate, right where the base of the metacarpal is. And so what I'll do is I'll, again, tractioning, pulling it down like this, and I'll start in flexion and go to pure neutral as I'm tractioning the wrist. Now sometimes I will have the person lean back to give me extra traction, and boy, does this thing explode. Now if I just do this here, I'm just mobilizing my own wrist. But if you're a chiropractor and you're trying to do this and get successful at it, then you want to have the patient lean back as you traction that way, and you'll be surprised. It'll totally revolutionize your adjusting. Because what you'll see a lot of times is chiropractors just kind of shake it like this, and there's no specificity to it. And we all know that the more specific that you can be in your chiropractic adjustments, the more success you'll have, the better results you'll have. You'll actually know what you're doing, and here's the most important, when it does not work is when you could then decipher what is not working and what isn't. So those are the ways that I analyze and adjust the wrist. Hopefully that helps you. If you're in chiropractic school and watching this, that's great. If you are a chiropractor watching this, or if you're just someone at home watching this and you're curious, how do chiropractors analyze these wrist dysfunctions where we actually adjust them and make a cavitation sound, and actually all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, I could do a push-up again, there's no pain. How do we do it? It's not magic, it's not a secret. These are the secrets that I have learned over 26 years of being a chiropractor. Hopefully that helps you. Got a couple more things I'm going to discuss with you, and then if you want to see other adjusting videos, then I'll put one somewhere here on the corner at the end of the video. So the sponsor of today's video is Nature's Pure Blend, and they have a product called nitric oxide flow. And what this has are some amino acids, L-arginine and L-citrulline, that are the constituents that allow our body to produce more nitric oxide. So if you want to have better blood pressure, which, let's face it, who doesn't, you need to supply the nutrients necessary for our body to raise the nitric oxide levels in the blood vessels. So by taking this type of product, you can significantly lower your blood pressure. So there will be a link down in the description where you can actually look at this product and see if it's right for you.